Justin Scoop for Friday, July 12th, 2024. Take a look at SPX here. So this is the 1 minute chart, and I like looking at the 1 minute. Just bear with me. So uh, the orange line is the high from Thursday. The other orange line isn't on here. It's a little bit lower. There it is. We open up inside of it, inside of previous day, and we just start to run up. It's like, oh, okay, this is going to go and keep going. And then maybe it'll keep moving up and make a new all-time high. So starts to rest in here. That's why I've got this channel drawn in here. And I'm looking for it to just consolidate here, do this, and then continue to move up. We're this close. We're literally this close to a new all-time high. It should move there, right? Well, it did eventually over here, um, but not immediately. And so that's where I was going bullish, looking for another bounce here, going bullish. Nope, immediately stopped out. It's like, okay, I'm wrong. It's going to pull back. So then it's like, all right, I didn't get into that bearish, looking for a retest in here, looking for an S curve to go lower. That didn't happen. So I got stopped out again. It's like, okay, I'm wrong twice in a row. And some people call it quits there. I don't, because it's like, okay, this is something else is going on here because now it's starting to continue on bullish. And so if I just stayed with that same exact view that we should be moving bullish, then there's a chance that I could have taken another trade going bullish. It's like, all right, let me just wait. And we really get going. And so just like we had opened and ran up, now we're putting this move in and we're doing that consolidation again. I thought, well, hey, this is really interesting. It's doing the same thing as before in my channel here. So we're kind of at the midline, we're kind of at the bottom, the bottom half here. We're holding that really well. It's like, I don't know that this is going to pop again. So I'm not looking bullish at this point. It's already made the new all-time high through here. It's resting, yes. It's like, what if what I didn't wait for and it goes lower? I wasn't waiting. What if I wait now? It's like, okay, yep, breaks down. All right, let me get into this bearish. So I'm in bearish right here. So let's see, I had lost and actually risked 2R on this. So I was down 2R here going bullish. I was down 2R here going bearish. Right. So that's the setup. I'm like, I waited long enough. I'm going to get into this. I'm going to risk 2R. Actually, I shouldn't put a minus on it yet because I'm only risking it. You don't know the result, but you can tell not that long after this thing plummets. And had I had a decent close, couple hour target in mind, would have been out with a nice gain, a few R's. I had my target way out there, looking for like a huge move, which eventually did come in. Uh, but I was watching my gains skyrocket through here, didn't get out. I'm like, this has momentum to go. Like it retests, I get into another, I'm risking another two. So this is potentially like if all of this goes against me, I could be down 8R on the day if this moves against me. It's like this comes right back into the previous day's high. Yeah, I'm in that. So I was actually getting in on that candle right there, going bearish. I was in, let me try a different color so you can see. Where's my toolbar? Where's the colors? Okay, there's a good color. So I'm in right here. It's 2:19 p.m. Central Time with the, oh, it's not in here, with the 56.35 strike. And then when I add to the position, I'm in literally on that candle, which was phenomenal, with the 56.25 strike. And both of them I'm in for entry at 0.5. All right. So that was really cool to see that, even though we had that kind of move, I'm still able to get an entry of, now I'm another, let me take a step back. This from here to here to that strike is only about 10 points. You know how easy it is for this thing to move 10 points late in the day on a Friday when it's had a monster move up? You know how easy that is? It's a high probability trade to work in your favor, that it's going to get in the money. It got at the money within minutes. I'm like, this is going to be in the money, like solidly in the money. That's why my target is here. Another like 10 points in the money. I'm expecting this is the move. It's still above the low we put in midday and the S curve point, whatever you want to call that. It's like all it needs to do is get here. And so it got there and then some. Um, it was really cool. But yeah, as this is running down, my option is just skyrocketing. The one that's in yellow, so that's the one that's in pink there, the one that's in yellow. This one's creeping up, not quite as fast. But basically, once it got to this point, I'm tightening stops, and both of them got stopped out on, I think, that candle or that candle, right at 245, and then still had further to go. And if I had moved my target out even further, um, yeah, I mean, it both of them would have been even better than I did. So this ended up going in the money, pretty much double what I was expecting. The difference here is making about $1,000 at this point versus making over $2,000 at this point. And then similar with the other one, this was making a few hundred versus making yeah, over 1,000 here. So ultimately ended up with a lot of R's. Um, so considering R's, looking at it that way, so I ended up risking. Oh wait, I didn't finish because I actually got another trade. Um, I got in. It was at 254, which is this candle, and I was somehow it filled me to get out at this candle, and I did the same thing where I'm getting into an option further away, so I'm into the 5610 put, and I bought for 0.25 and I'm out at zero point 0.5. So doubled, just looking for a scalp, literally a scalp. But if I had held that one, it would have been, I could have made, 3 times or 4 times as much. Um, so all total, I ended up risking 10R. So I could have been down 10R. Now, I don't think I would have taken that last one here if I hadn't been up so much. But that's part of my plan to kind of add to these trades, let it, once you've got you know the big ones in, risk a little bit more to see if it can actually just keep going. And so ultimately risked what would be about 10R throughout the day, and came away with uh, about 56R. Uh, so those are the things that are possible if you just continue to take a step back, look at the charts, see how things are moving, and be in ahead of that momentum, or at least be ready to get in on a retest. And so what makes this really special. So I'm going to focus in, and I know I got a lot of colors in here. I'm going to focus in on the yellow one here. The thing that's worked out best for me is looking further away. It's like, okay, we already know it's got a big push in. You know what? This is too much. Let's clear all this out. Take a screenshot if you want. Here, let me do this first. So risked, just capture this. Risked 10 and went up 56. And just because some bad fills, it was 56.4. Should have been a little bit more, but yeah, just with some bad fills. So because of moving the stop, and then it doesn't hit your stop exactly, but risk 10R and made over 50R in a day, which is really cool. And so looking for more of things like that. Let me see if I can grab a screenshot. That's just cool looking. Let me see if I can turn off this. No, it's not letting me. Bear with me. Let me see if I can grab a screenshot myself, because I could use this for the thumbnail, which is just fun, right? All right, so I got that for later. All right, so let me clear all this out, and we're just going to focus in on this. So, can I see my strikes yet? No, still won't let me see the strikes. There's all the strikes. I don't like that. Okay, let me put the yellow one back in. So the reason I went with, um, and I explained originally, what's the color? It's not color. There we go. Okay. So I was getting in right there. on one further away, but I was in, I think it was on this candle. So I'd set up the trade and it filled in that one. And so that was this strike, the 56.35. And then the yellow was this strike. And so I explained already the main reason to do uh, at this time of day, do this strike because it's literally 10 points away. And you got, you know, I think when I was setting up, a few more minutes, but you got about 40 minutes left in the day for it to go 10 points and be able to exit for break even or something is pretty easy to do, or you're going to risk, the 2R and absolute zero sort of thing where you could give up all of that. So that was my mindset going in. It's like, okay, 10 points away, I will take that. I'll go 10 points away still, um, still 30 minutes, sometimes down to 20 minutes, but this is something you really got to study. Obviously, I did that right at the right here, but I knew the momentum was still very bearish, and this was just a great opportunity to get. So this ended up filling me when it was about $12 out of the money, and that still turned a profit. But it, that was a bigger that was a lower probability trade for that one to work out. Uh, delete. Where's the eraser? Delete that line. Okay, so I just want to kind of draw in again the ranges because all it had to do was move that much to be worth something, and ultimately moved way down here. Um, but then you can see, let's get rid of that one. The yellow one, again, the probability is decreasing because it's like, okay, it's got to go further. The pink one, it had to move a lot, seemingly a lot. The yellow, it's like, oh, it has to move more. If you go and chart the options, which we can do, but if we go and chart the options, you can see that they are, just holding a lower value. We've just been going sideways up in here. We're holding a lower value. The market makers don't want to put that much premium back into it, but then you start getting some of these bigger moves, and they have to move, especially the closer they are to being at the money or potentially in the money. And so the one thing I'll say I should have done better is I was getting impatient in here. Not necessarily impatient, but I didn't want to give up so much of the gains. I wanted to come away with some real solid day. And so this was tough because it's like, okay, I know it's going to come back. I know it's going to pull back some. Let me put my stop here. If we put in this candle and then keep going lower, it'll be okay. But then we put in these candles and I got stopped out. Actually, yeah, it was at 2:45. So it was actually this candle I got trailed out on it with. And then immediately it did that. And it's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more minutes of waiting. And it would have been, just hugely more profitable. Um, I think so. I exited this one, uh, trailed out 10.7. Had I held down in here, this was, I think it was 24. I think it came into 24 on the price there. And then this one, let's see, what did that exit with? Got the other chart next to me. This one exited at uh, 4.9 right here. And I think this one made it up to 14 down in here. So you can see like what color. This one was 900 bucks more. This one was 1300 bucks more. And then what's crazy is the same thing. Like if I had not exited, so I literally got in and got out the next candle. Had I held through this, so this one I got out at 0.5, because the way the option was moving looked really, really funny. It's like, okay, I'm in with 0.25, got a couple of those, got out at 0.5, just doubled it. And I held down into here, um, actually not into the close because I do not like holding into the last 2 minutes. I want to be out because things can go wrong with your computer. with the broker, whatever. But somewhere in here, I saw that it came up to about $1. Um, so I was okay with not making, you know, a little bit more on that one. But the other ones, it's like, man, if I just held on to that. So that's my muscle that I got to work on, that holding muscle. The other thing I could have done is just hang on to one, like stay on, you know, maybe get out of this one, but hold on to this one and let that one run. Because, but then it's like, well, this one has a better, uh, more gain for the same movement because it's further in the money now already. So there's some different strategies to that. Depending on how many contracts you're in, there's strategies around, exiting one at a target, exiting another one, scaling out of it. It just depends on how many contracts you've got. So all of that is stuff that I'm working on getting better at. But yeah, it was really cool to see this, playing out, to see the potential, and then being in it. It's like, okay, this is going. This is legitimately moving, and being on the right side of that, especially after going bullish at the wrong time, going bearish at the wrong time. It's like, I don't want my day to turn into that. And then especially if you miss that. So if I didn't keep trading, I would have had massive FOMO. It's like, this is what I wanted it to do, and would have probably been doing some revenge trading this coming week, thinking that I'll make it. I'll make back what I missed or what I lost, and then I'll make up for what I missed out on. Instead, ending the day, ending the week up significantly, I can go into next week waiting, more patient, looking for the opportunities, and just knowing that, hey, I'm trading from a better mental standpoint of being ready for what kind of thing may happen. So um, let me see if I can pause the screen share and get still. Let me see if I can get the chart back up. Oh, I don't have it ready. See if I can get something ready real quick here, because I have some different charting stuff set up. It's working in the background. You can't see it, but it's I think you can't see it. I think I'm still got the screen share pause. So let me see if um, I can get some of this ready to show. Yeah, this should work. Okay, so this is on a 3 minute. Let me pull up one of those options that I was in. And sorry for the silence. We'll do that. Okay. Resume share. Not yet. It's a 5 minute. It's going to go 1 minute. This is and almost there. Trying to get the charts. I have not looked at the option in Thinkorswim yet. So, okay. So let me show you one of the options. And if you wanted to go back and look at this, you can. So this is the 5635 put that I was in. And you can see, light volume. And early on, this is on the 1 minute. Excuse me. It's, even though this was crazy. It's 219, right? Let's just zoom in on this. Okay. It's 219 and we're 10 minutes away. I'm sorry, 10 points away, 40 minutes to go on the day. And I'm like, this is it. This is the option. We're 10 points away. Let me get in for 0.5. All right. So I'm in for 0.5. And I'm just like, okay, let's see what happens. Oh, it's starting to move in my favor. Okay, it's losing again. It's winning. It comes all the way down to a low of 0.35, I think. It had a low of 0.25. I'm like, I'm okay losing the 2R. I'm good, you know? And so, playing this at absolute value, then it starts to go. And this is where it's like, had I had a relatively close target would have filled. And I've been filled on plenty of those. and then they just run without me. I'm like, no, I'm going to keep my target further out. And so when I set up the trade, I set up my target with, I think, 10.5. So my target was up here. And then we start to just move. I'm like, I move my target out. And so I move my target out to, I think, 15.5. I'd have to double check. But, um, and I'm just moving my stop up. Okay. So my stops didn't move my stop yet here. I move my stop up to like 2. This happens, move my stop up to 7. And then this candle comes in. I'm like, oh, it's going to hit there. Yeah, it's going to get all the way. I'm like, I'm going to lock this in. I'm going to move my target and my stop up to 11. And so after that candle, I'm like, okay, my stop's at 11. If it comes back, crushes back, I'll be okay. And I ended up getting trailed out at 10.7 instead of 11. So that was all right. But it pulled back a little more. So had I been a little more patient and held my stop at 7, would have still been in the trade. And I had moved my target up to 25, which was a little bit higher than I should have because it didn't quite get there here. I don't know if it would have filled. It got to 24.34 on the high. It did ultimately get all the way to 25 in the last minute of the day. I would not have been holding for that because I obviously would not have been up so much on a position still in it the last minute of the day. I just don't do that when it's going that well. I wouldn't do that. I am if there's one going against me, I'll still try to get out for point 0.1, 0.05, and and just have that order sitting out there because occasionally you get filled and it's like, okay, I'll take that and trade that another time. But so I was looking at this, it's like, all right, 25, maybe that would have been a little bit too much because think about 25. The strike is the 56.35. To be 25 points in the money, it would have been in the money at 56.10, which it kind of got there. Um, that's the cues. And on SPX. So where did we end up going? So we like tagged it 56, 11, 24. So not quite, but close enough. It's like, well, the Greeks should have gotten it to 25. Nope, didn't. So that's okay. But I wasn't in it already. But again, like I got trailed out here at 10.7. And had I waited 1 to 3 minutes to move my stop from 7 up to 11, if I waited 3 more minutes, it would have been fine. And that would have continued up. And I probably still would have held that at a 25 target. And then once this candle came in, I would have probably gone up to 14. And then this candle in, it's like, let me get up to like 18. And so maybe that's the difference of getting stopped at 18 instead of 11, actually getting filled at 10.7, and probably would have been trailed for something like 17. I would have been very happy with them. Probably would have been happier, but this is the kind of stuff I've got to mentally prepare better for. Where it's like, okay, if it misses my target again, what target am I going to shoot for when it's moving this quickly? You can do the same thing with the 56.25. Let's just zoom in here later. This is the one that would have been, I think, better. This is the one that's better to learn from because I got filled at 234 for the 0.5 price. And so, yeah, so this put a low of 0.35. I got in at 0.5. I've done plenty of like, oh, maybe I'll set my entry a little bit lower, maybe 0.25, maybe 0.3. No, just stick with 0.5. It's absolute zero. You're already up on the other position. This is the add, this is the adding to the position. And so same thing. I was moving my stop up and got it nice and after this candle, got it nice and tight up at 5. And had I left it, I think at 2, not sure what that stop was, and waited 1, 2, 3, I guess in this case 4 more minutes, then I could have moved up to 5, and it would have hit my target of 10.5. I had the same target 10.5 as the other option, and then this one ultimately got up to it looks like 15. So so that's interesting. That one got to 15 while the other one didn't hit 25, and they're 10 points apart. Interesting how the Greeks work there. Anyway, all right. So that's those. And then The last one was this one, which um, I was in at 254 for 0.25, and then the next candle was out at zero point 0.5, and was ready for this just to go to zero at any point and just be out that. It's like, let me just get out. And looks like I would have been holding, I had my target at 1.5. So I would have been holding the last minute. So I wouldn't have done that. So it would have, I feel like I would have been chasing, would have been trying to get out at 1 or 1.5 or I'm sorry, at 1.25 or 0.75 or something. I would have been chasing it down. I hate chasing it down because these can just plummet. So it's like, let me just get out of something I'm comfortable getting out for. And so I got out at zero point 0.5. And so just doubled that option. Nice little scalp there late. And obviously didn't have anything in that position all through here. That would have been the better play. It's like you just get in somewhere lower and maybe it moves, but that one is more of the gamble where it's like, okay, it's already a low probability. How far does it actually have to go to be worth something? And then how exact do you have to have your target for that to actually hit the level and get out without, having your target just a little bit higher depending on the Greeks. And so that's the thing. It's like, okay, it's already running down. Maybe I can get in and just it'll just sink a little bit more. And so that's all that was happening here. This is back in the 5 minute. Let's go back down to the 1 minute. So yeah, so the better plays that I had today were getting in around here to 19. I got filled, and then I was filled at 234, and then I was filled at 254. So somehow I was getting the bull candles, getting filled on these bull candles, and then they immediately reversed these later two. This first one had to wait a little bit more, and yeah, had to wait a little bit more for that to play out. But I was in, I was ready, and something must have happened right at 2:30 that all of a sudden this was just getting sunk. Um, but that was what I was anticipating, looking at how I had just drawn this in on going back to the trading view chart, looking at how I had drawn this in. It's like there's some similarities here. And so I was looking at this after, which is always good to kind of look back at your trades. So just look at where this channel's sitting. So first thing I'm going to point out with this is so we had, I can't quite see that. Let me turn off a different color. So we had, the first bounce, second bounce, kind of a third, and then didn't bounce. That's where it failed. Okay. So this one, like one, say kind of two, three is all that. And then it didn't bounce. And then it started to go. So that was my signal. It's like, okay, it failed here. I was trying to go bullish here and it failed. Let me wait. So I didn't try to go bullish here. I just decided, let me wait. And sure enough, it sinks. It's like, okay, let me get in on what would be kind of the retest here. So I was in on kind of the retest here and it actually got filled there. Okay. So that's the first thing I noticed. It's like, okay, I did the right thing to wait on that. Let me zoom this back out. And so, I really liked how this was just, the high and the low of this little consolidation in here. Then we came right back into that here. But if I move this and I move this down to the low over here, okay, so I'm just looking at where the low is. I really like this consolidation right in here on its way back up. And then this consolidation here right before it sinks. And it's just kind of like the tale of two worlds here, where it completely bounces, just breaks out, going to all-time highs, and then the opposite here, where it completely sinks, not going to new all-time lows, nothing like that, but it's just a complete opposite, a complete failure of what this was doing earlier in the day. It's literally taking all of that back out and then some. It just chopped significantly for it to do all of that and then sink later, taking out this low, taking out that point of this rally. It just, the bulls were in, made the new all-time high. That's great. Okay, bears come in and don't let them hold that new all-time high. So I just kind of drew that. That's really nice. You got some nice lows through there, that kind of consolidation. It looks better if you do it like this, but anyway. So that's some of the charting. That's some of the stuff I was looking at. Uh, that's what to do. I got to turn rotate. Move that channel back. There it goes. Okay. So, you know, the other thing I was learning is that, once you draw it in, see where else it's going to hold that level, you know? So the bounce that I was looking for right here, we did actually get right here and made a new all-time high. All right. And then knowing that, hey, there's more bearishness coming in here, knowing that, okay, I went bullish here, it didn't work, didn't go bullish here, and it worked bullish. Is it really going to go bullish again here when it's already in the all-time high range? It's like, no. So wait. And even if I had gone bullish here, or if I had waited and it bounced, it should have given me another entry like this, which would have been another touch. It's like, okay, it's doing something different than over here, but it had already shown me, hey, once it breaks that, look out below. And it was a much bigger breakdown. So I was glad I stayed with the short idea. I really don't like shorting from an all-time high. So that's why it's like, okay, let me give it, a little more time to see what is it really going to do in here too. I always feel like I'm wrong when when I'm shorting and it's making new all-time highs. It's like, let it come down a little bit more before I'm going to get in bullish and go counter trend and all that. And then where am I looking for it to actually get to? And so we ultimately, so let's see, we opened way down here. We still had a bullish candle on the day, but with this weakness that came in, and I don't know what this volume is. It's right at 3 o'clock, so that would have must have been um, other institutions and stuff. That is a lot of volume. So I guess that we had bull volume about that same size Thursday, so that might be normal. But we got to see how things continue on this coming week. See if we're going to have some more bull strength come in or some more bear weakness, or bear strength, bull weakness, pull back a little bit more. But this is setting up like, this right here looks like a double top within this, um, than the candles here. So um, this looks like it could form a bigger double top, zooming out quite a bit here. So we'll see what happens. All right. Hope this helps. This is Justin. Thanks.